Hello and welcome back to Space Engineers. In today's video, we're looking at a very unique ship. And this ship you see right behind me is called the CWP Blur helicopter aircraft, which only uses a singular thruster to move the ship in all directions. This has been done via a script, we'll touch on that a bit later, but this is it in all its glory. Now what I will say is flying this thing around is going to be extremely wonky because it handles very differently compared to all the other ships in the game. Traditional flying with thrusters in all directions, the vector thrust script, this is unlike anything else. But anyway, pressing F10 and finding it in the spawn menu, the Blur is 293 small blocks using the Warfare 2, Sparks of the Future, Wasteland and Decorative Block number 2 DLC packs. Now it does have a nice lot of information about it on the Steam Workshop page, but unfortunately it's been done via images, so we can't see any of it on here. So simply give this thing a thumbs up, we'll move around towards the very front, have a quick look around the outside, and I'll hop on the inside, show you it flying around, and we'll see what it can do. So at the very front, this is what we get. We've got a lovely glass cockpit to fly this thing around, with a regular cockpit sitting right behind it to actually control it. We can see a bunch of gyroscopes which is going to be very useful while flying this thing around, as well as a couple of rotors which are going to be for the doors on the sides. Over under this section, a wasteland spotlight to light up the darkness, and as we move around the side we've got some lovely white and red steel blocks. Now this part right here is our doorway to get in and out. If the character wants to walk all the way up to it, it will automatically ping up on both sides, allow you to access the cockpit to get in and drive it around. Just moving away or just go all the way back down to its standby position, and there we go. Coming over to this part, this is our large atmospheric thruster. Like I said, it's the only thruster that appears on this ship. Underneath this little lip that leads towards our tail, gives us a reactor, a couple of batteries, and we can also see a hinge which is being used to angle the tail to give it that great design. We also have a neon tube acting as like a little handle behind there, just in case you need it. Then pulling away from that and looking at the back of this, this is all we can see. So we have an antenna behind these steel blocks, there's a red light and there's a green one on the opposite side, which will start blinking very quickly when I actually take this thing off. And we also have some great use for our armoured panels just acting as little fins at the very back. And at the very back of this thing, there's another spotlight, there's some more neon tubes, and moving all the way up and looking down, that is all we can see. Just coming across, that's how the tail has been connected up to the main body, and how it's been carefully covered up by some steel blocks. We can just about make out our battery and reactor. There's the top of the atmospheric thruster, there's the top of the cockpit, an LCD screen with a logo of the company that designed this, and there is the very front. Just dropping down and coming underneath it, that is all we can see. There is a sense block, which is going to be for our doorways to open and close as we go up to it. There's the bottom of the thruster, there's our neon tube, and there is our antenna just built into our tail. And there we go, that's a very brief look around the outside of the Blur helicopter aircraft. And yes, if you really want to, you could always remove some of the blocks on the top above that atmospheric thruster, put in a rotor, put in a projector, and have a spinning rotor blade if you wanted that. But without further ado, let's come over to here, get into the cockpit. I won't go through the hotbar first of all. What I'm going to do is just hop into this, and we're going to take it off. Just going to lift it all the way up. It is a bloody fast thing, so fast in fact that if you move down and release it, it instantly stops. Yes, moving forwards, it'll tilt all the way forwards automatically thanks to a script, and this is what we get. We just sort of hover along like so, until we release it, it'll then tilt backwards, attempt to slow itself down, and then go back into its standby mode where you can just move it up and down if you wanted to. If we were to face it like this, move left, there we go, it'll automatically tilt itself, then moving right, there we are. If I was to go into first person view and start to turn this thing around, you can see it automatically tilting in order to achieve the direction that I want. And then after a while, if I don't turn it and continue moving straight, it'll just realign itself and go straight. Then moving to the left. There we go. The more you turn left, the more harsher the tilt. And then it'll just go back and fly straight. And if I was to go up, go at maximum speed and then let go, this is it attempting to slow down. It's kind of hard to see, it's better when it was on the ice, but you can see how it's tilted backwards, trying to slow itself down. It's not the fastest thing in the world, that's to be expected, and it's bloody impressive that this even works to begin with. But anyway, for the actual controls of this ship while we're still slowing down, number one is to manually open and close the doors. When you walk up to this the first time to get into the cockpit, the doors will not close when you're in the seat. You'll need to press number 1 to close it, and it's recommended you do that while on the ground. Number 4 is going to be for our landing sequence. Now if we do this, I'm not too sure what it actually does at the end of the day, but it seems to make it a lot more stabler when attempting to land this down to the ground. So pressing that, then pressing C, then releasing it, it seems a bit more snappier, but still I can't really tell too much of a difference when it's turned on or off. Number 5, 6 and 7 is going for your batteries, number 8 is for your reactor just in case you need it, and then number 9 is for precise controls where it will not attempt to lean it in the direction you want to go, instead you'll manually have to control it. So as we start to move forwards, and then press number 9, there we are, now to turn left, there we go. And it will not try to realign itself, it will not try to stable itself, we will just keep going in this direction until we turn it back on, and then it'll try and fix itself before you come crashing down to the ground. It's such an odd thing to control, I just recommend downloading it and playing around with it yourself, because it's very hard to put this into words. Now, played with a lot of very weird setups on ships, played with a lot of vector thrust ships which can only use 2 thrusters to get around, but a singular thruster using a script to tilt it and to, well, achieve all directions, it's very impressive that it works, and it's very impressive that it's so stable, and it doesn't seem to have any risk of it flipping out and crashing. But that is pretty much it for the Blur helicopter aircraft has to offer. It's a bloody fantastic design, and it flies almost like a helicopter, I'd say. For my time playing Arma 3, it does seem to behave sort of like that, or as much as space engineers can handle a helicopter setup. And I can see a lot of helicopters in the future using this kind of system, using propellers on rotors or even projectors on rotors. I don't think physical blades will actually behave too well on this. It might make it a bit wobbly and cause a lot of issues. Yes, I can see a lot of use coming out of this. So like I said, that's pretty much it for the Blur helicopter aircraft has to offer. There'll be a link to it in the description below if you do wish to download and play around with it yourself. Highly recommend you do. I'll be back with another video some point soon. Bye bye.